This is the part of our land that we're managing just for aesthetics. You see how it looks like a park, kind of, which is kind of how it's supposed to be managed. This on this side, where it's all thick and stuff, that's kind of mismanagement, but it works better for us for oil because we like to use little trees. It should look more like this.
The trees are bigger?
Yeah, bigger, until they get big enough to harvest, and then it creates an open space and younger ones can grow up. But where it's thick like that is kind of a fire hazard. So what you're trying to do is reduce all the fuel, you know, that the fire can spread with. It's all the hoopla. This big one, that one's the one I was talking about that has really thick bark, so it's very fire resistant. It can handle quite a bit of fire. And even if it gets burned black around on the bark gets burned, it's thick enough and protected enough to still stay alive. So it's one of our, you know, we have grand fir, Douglas fir, and subalpine fir. But this is, you can tell that this, I can tell the difference because it has this orange bark between in the splits. And the needles go all the way around the, I can't reach one, but they go all the way around as opposed to a grand fir, which are flat.
Douglas fir.
Yeah. And that's a western larch.
They lose their needles.
Yeah.
Very much alive though.
What's that tree back there? What do you think is that one back there? The big one right back here. By the bark? The orange? Douglas fir, yeah. Douglas fir.
Is that a question?
Yeah, yeah. Yep, Douglas fir. Things like that.
And it's beautiful.
Elements, yes, and it's
Color.
Really pretty.
Yeah.
Red cedar.
Yeah. That's our only cedar that we have here.
This is the Idaho state tree?
Yeah,
Wow.
state tree.
It grows in sections, right? It grows, each level is like a year. Right?
Sometimes. But a definitive way is cutting it and then counting the rings. But
Right.
there's 5 needles in each one of these little nodules. That's a positive ID for western white pine. See, there's 5 of them. Sometimes it'll make a liar out of me. Sometimes they'll just do 4 for no reason. But most of the time, there's 5. There's 5 in there, and so the
See, there's only 2 in that one. But
yeah, they might have got knocked out.
It's like a 4-leaf clover.
So we have 3 different pines. We have the western white pine. We have that ponderosa, that giant ponderosa pine, and we have a lodgepole pine, which is a scrubbier looking tree. I'll find one out of it, and the lodgepole will have 3. Pretty much always, but like I say, sometimes. And these get a disease called blister rust. It's a spore, it's a fungus spore that travels through the air from tree to tree, and they'll start getting these scars and bleeding, and it means they're, sometimes they'll make it for a while, but it means they're, you know, on their way out. And it's kind of a problem when you have too many of them, it spreads through, and there's quite a few of them in here. So I'm trying to get rid of them slowly, but I don't want to cut everything. You know.
How do you get rid of them? You have to get rid of the tree.
Yeah, I cut it down. Because otherwise it'll blow and infect everything else. It's a problem in Idaho.
Where is it?
See that where it's trying to expel it here with the pitch? And there's the scar from it. It's like it's a fungus that grows on it. Inside the cambium
Like
layer.
the black one? The black?
Yeah, right
opening?
here. You see this scar right here? Where it's bleeding from? It looks like actual mechanical damage, but it's not. It's just where the bark can't grow. And it's trying to expel that fungus. And it's like once it gets into them, it's a bummer. It might live for 5 or 10 years, but maybe it'll die like this spring. You never know. So usually I try to cut them, but you know, there's still a lot of them. I can't cut them all because then it'll be too open space, you know. So I got to wait till other stuff comes up. But I think I'm trying to mostly promote the Douglas fir because it does really well. The grand fir tends to, it wants to die for no reason too. I don't know why. Drought mostly, but yeah, there's a white pine back there. See that brown? That's dead. It's recently dead because it still has needles on it. But you know, I can see them all bleeding, most of them. But between the blister rust and the bear killing all the larch, it's been a struggle.
Yeah, I heard you had bears.
Yeah. Yeah, but I took care of them.
Turn them into sausage.
Yeah. They make the best smokies.
Yeah, like
See where the needles, it's white underneath, which is a telltale sign, but the needles are also coming out flat off the tree. Yeah, hold on for a second. I'll get a Douglas fir. So this is I mean, they look similar, right? But the Douglas fir, the needles are going all the way around.
And firs usually have like a flat pine.
The needle?
Yeah.
Not well, as far as the needle goes itself, yeah, I suppose.
Pretty flat.
Yeah.
Compared to like a spruce.
But see how this is like goes all the way around the stem instead of coming off. Instead of just coming off parallel
it's still
like
a
this one.
flat
Yeah.
needle where like
Yeah.
not square.
I see what you're saying. I don't know if I paid that much attention to the spruces and everything.
They're soft and flat compared to square and poke.
Yeah. But the diversity, I mean, there's grand fir, Douglas fir, there's a western hemlock, western white pine, western red cedar, like within my sight. There's almost all the 10 species I can see from here.
Wow.
And the white pine.
Yeah, that's a white pine. Yep. The reason there's not very many lodgepole is because I don't like them. They don't grow very well, so I cut them all.
Do you have balsam still?
No.
No more balsam?
It never grew wild here.
It didn't?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh.
It was a brand name. It's the same thing as our grand fir now.
Yeah, but I thought we actually had it at one point. Because we still have...
It's a tree farm planted tree that confuses everybody, so I don't bring it up.
Okay.
Because we don't have it. Yeah, that's a white pine. But there's also a grand fir, a Douglas fir, and a hemlock that I can touch.
That's great.
Yeah, this is a western hemlock. I don't know if I can see a mature specimen right here anywhere, but I don't see one. I don't like those either. That's why I cut them out. It's like more like a shrubbery. There's seeds everywhere in the ground. So if you just let it be, it looks like that thick patch right back there. See how thick all those trees of various ages are growing, 2 inches apart, which is not good management, But I'll tolerate some of it.
Why would seeds be?
Critters also move seeds too.
Because they stay in the ground for a long years and years and years.
But you said management, like how you manage with where the seed go, right? Because you can't really determine.
No, I can only manage by cutting,
Okay.
So I just let it grow, and then what I don't want, I cut out,
See which one is grows stronger or better. And
I already know that from prior experience, so I identify the species that I know is going to do well there, and then when I cut, I promote that species. If that makes any sense?
Yes.
Because there was a lot of lodgepole in this area, which I don't like because it's not a long life tree. It usually breaks and falls, it just doesn't do well. So I cut it all. If there's other trees, if there's a space, I'll leave one. But if there's other trees, I'll try to just promote those trees and get rid of the other ones. That's why you don't see any lodgepole right here. But if we keep going, we'll get to the part where I haven't managed at all yet. It takes a lot of work we cut all of this through all of this. and it's almost the way I want it. You know, it's kind of a little thin here, but that's all I had to work with.
Yeah.
I like it a little thicker like this, but you know, you can't just replant trees where you want them. Bare, you know, see that one right there, that larch?
Yeah.
The bark's gone at the bottom, it killed it.
Yeah.
Frustrated me. That's a deer. Yeah. Probably a month or so. Yeah.
The carcass?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, they're,
Dead.
I mean, it's not uncommon to find them walking around.
Mountain lion.
The circle of life, you know, that's all they eat is deer, pretty much.
Oh,
They average like a deer a week.
not humans.
No. No, people don't get attacked. They do attack people,
Unless
but
they
not
have-
here.
Unless they have little like kits with them, like little babies,
Sometimes.
or if they're juvenile and they're hungry and.
Or if like Washington and California where they don't get hunted, they kill people. In California, they haven't been able to hunt them since 1958, and they attack hikers and stuff
Yeah.
all the time. I mean,
Usually they're young. And
yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, they just lose any fear of humans. Because it happened in Washington when they voted on that initiative to stop all mountain lion hunting in
Yeah.
Washington. It was about a generation, 2 generations, about 15 years. Then they started killing people because they never had a problem with it, just like we don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen here in Idaho
Right.
because they have a fear of people, you know.
Yeah.
But after so long of not being hunted, they
Yeah.
lose the fear.
Oh, so
People don't realize that when they, yeah, they're hunted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's legal to go and harvest one.
But you can only hunt 1 or 2 per year?
Just one per person, yeah. Yeah. And we never kill any. We just like to catch them.
Yeah. Same
Also,
with
you
wolves.
catch
It's just
them and then you
predator.
release
It's
Yeah,
just
we
a
just-
predator control.
We just leave them in the, I like them, so I don't
a
like
lot of
killing them.
people will taxidermy them and
Yeah.
have them stuffed.
I mean, we take one maybe
Yeah.
every 3-4 years between 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah.
When we could take 5 a year.
Yeah.
But if we let them, we can't come back and chase it again, you know? So we don't come. And it's easy because you just can take pictures, grab your dog and go back to the pickup, and then the cat goes on its way, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah. So a mountain lion killed it within a few days ago. You can see where it grabbed the dirt and scraped it back and tried to bury it.
Yeah. Eat it later.
Oh, she'll come back to it for sure. What's that?
You say the lion is buried.
Yeah.
To come back to eat it later.
Yeah.
Where is the dirt?
Oh, it just,
Not bad.
they don't do a great job of it. They try. But you can see where it grabbed it. Yeah. Sometimes they do. I've seen
Does she scare you?
some of them do better than others, but
She scare you?
there's nothing out here that buries deer except for mountain lions. Nothing else.
Fair.
Nothing else that they're hibernated
Oh well.
and they don't bury stuff.
They're
Mountain lions always cover their. Millie, get out of that.
they may not be hibernated yet, right?
The majority of them should be. We've been out in the mountains for a couple months looking, you know, for
Yeah.
tracks, and I've only seen one bear track, and that was 3 weeks ago, probably. But it's pretty fairly rare to find
Yeah.
a dead deer. The last group was like they went out to meditate and someone found it. Well, Millie found it, but get out of it. Gross. It's stinky. So this is the part we haven't been into yet. So you can see the difference in, you know, management. But we'll get to it eventually. This takes a lot of time. This is 250 acres, I think, right here on this farm. It goes all the way to MacArthur Lake Road where you came in, you know, and across. We have property over there too.
Like 80 acres over on the other side?
Yeah, and it's like a whole different age class and the management thing going on over there.
How many total on
Both farms? Like 7 something, I forgot. 717. Not sure exactly what it is, but
you could probably
around
look
there.
on Onyx.
Oh yeah.
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 I should look. Huh.
I knew last year, but I can't remember. Millie, get out of there. Yeah, the machinery disturbing the soil, it turns it up so that the trees can grow also. Because if you look at normally underneath a thick forest, there's that canopy of needles, of dead pine needles. And I mean, it's thick, it's deep. And they can't get through that.
Also fire.
There's no soil.
A lot of pines only grow after a fire has taken place because it opens up the seeds of the pine cones.
Yeah.
It'll
Larch.
open the pine cones.
Oh, because
So a
it's
lot of
warm enough.
forests
Yeah.
can't actually grow without a fire. So fires are healing
Yeah.
to the forest.
Ooh. Very interesting. And can you talk about the stump again? The rot.
Yeah, they just decay. They decay, but sometimes it takes a really long time, depending on the species.
And then it becomes
Sometimes
nutrients.
they become homes for critters.
Yeah.
For what?
Critters.
What is critter?
Squirrels, ants, you know, all kinds of things.
Owls.
Yep.
Mice.
Yep. But also it varies on the species too. Grand fir will go decay really fast. Western larch, they're stubborn. They'll be for a long time, and cedar will be forever, it seems like. So it depends on the tree too, how fast it goes away. But it all adds up to be nutrients for the new trees that are growing. Like the needles also, the duff, what I'm calling the duff layer is the needle layer that falls off the trees. And I mean, it'll be probably 2 inches a year. It's insane, a lot of needles. And it takes time for that to turn back into soil. So nothing grows in it until it turns back into soil. And at the same time, it's falling all the time. So unless you disturb it some way, it's really hard for trees to start growing in it. Some do, of course. You know, it doesn't ever become completely sterile, but it speeds up the process if you disturb it with equipment. So that can be good too. Larch are really responsive to that disturbance. Larch seem to come back pretty fast. But I mean, just right here in this open space, you'll see trees coming up. You know, if it can get sunlight, they'll come up. And they're probably under there right now. You just can't see them with the snow, but they're really tiny. Yeah, yeah. And it's like you don't notice them until it's like a couple years, like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden there's like a whole forest of trees this big, and they're this far apart. And they're of all species, you know.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of regenerating, because it's one of the questions that people always ask is like, are you planting a tree for every tree you cut? I'm like, well, here you don't have to. It just comes back. Yes, they do. And it's, you know, it's a pretty wet environment that we live in. We do have some dry summers, but most of the year it's pretty wet. So all these trees are native, so they know they can adapt and they know how to deal with our climate that we have here.